Meeting from the township meeting that would happen on last week. To the legal voters and residents of the town of Evanston in the county of Cook in the state of Illinois, a meeting had previously been called for by the town board in open session on November 29, 2011. The board having fixed the time of adjournment and reconvening of the town board to December 5, 2011, that a special meeting of said town board will take place on Monday, December 5th, 2011, during the hour 7 p.m. in the City Council Chamber, second floor, 2100 Ridge Avenue, Evanston, Illinois, 60201. Reconvening, we will call the roll. Then we'll have old business. Then we'll do consideration of resolution 4TR11, adoption of a resolution for an advisory referendum on a public policy question regarding the town board and possible dissolution of Evanston Township, and directing the town clerk to certify the public question with the Cook County clerk. And also consideration of resolution 5TR11, adoption of a resolution calling for the Illinois General Assembly to amend the township code and other necessary statutes so as to clearly permit the lawful dissolution of coterminous Evanston Township. Then we'll go into new business and other business, then they'll go into adjournment. Because we are reconvening from the last meeting, Trustee Tisdall is still the reigning presiding officer.
Thank you, Clerk. Thank you, Clerk Green. The first item is old business. Does anyone have any old business to discuss? All right. Next is consideration of resolution 4TR-11, adoption of a resolution for an advisory referendum on a public policy question regarding the town board and possible dissolution of Evanston Township. Does anyone want to discuss that or have a motion you want to make? Alderman Rainey.
Madam Mayor, I move adoption of the resolution, or recommendation to the council of the resolution.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt the resolution. Is there any?
Madam Mayor, could I just correct something I said?
Yes, you could.
I move adoption. I'm not sure, are we the town board right now?
Yes,
or
we
the
are.
Town committee, the town board. All right, well then I recommend to the town board that we adopt the resolution. I said council.
Thank you. So it has been moved and seconded to adopt the resolution. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Alderman Wilson, or Trustee Wilson, sorry.
I'm only just going to indicate for the reasons I mentioned at the last meeting, based on procedure alone, not being confident that this is the correct procedure, I don't intend to support it, but I don't have any objection to the drafting of the language as it was prepared by the city attorney.
Thank you. Seeing no further lights, no one wishing to discuss this further, Town Clerk, would you call the roll?
Trustee Rainey.
Aye.
Trustee Burris.
Aye.
Trustee Fisk.
Aye.
Trustee Braithwaite.
No.
Trustee Wynn.
Aye.
Trustee Wilson.
No.
Trustee Holmes.
No.
Trustee Tyndall.
Aye.
Trustee Grover. Oh, she's not here. Sorry about that. One, two, three, 4, 5. Nope, she's not here. Let's go over this again. I'm sorry.
Take your time.
Trustee Rainey. Yes. Do it one more time. Trustee Burris. I'm double checking.
Sorry.
Trustee Fisk.
Aye.
Trustee Braithwaite. No. Trustee Wynn.
Aye.
Trustee Wilson.
No.
Trustee Holmes.
No.
Trustee Tyndall.
Aye.
5-3.
5-3, the motion passes. Next is consideration of Resolution 5TR-11, adoption of a resolution calling for the Illinois General Assembly to amend the township code and other necessary statutes so as to clearly permit the lawful dissolution of coterminous Evanston Township.
I move that we adopt Resolution 5TR11.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion?
What are we trying to amend here?
We are asking the state legislature to have a clear method. They now have two conflicting methods to abolish a township, and we're asking them to please be clear about what you can and cannot do. Seeing no further discussion, Town Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Trustee Rainey.
Yes.
Trustee Burris.
Aye.
Trustee Fisk.
Aye.
Trustee Braithwaite.
No.
Trustee Wynn.
Aye.
Trustee Wilson.
Aye.
Trustee Holmes.
No.
Trustee Tindem.
Aye.
6-2.
6-2, the motion passes. Next, we have new business, other business. Is there any new business that anyone wishes to raise?
When you say passes, what that mean?
That means that the majority of people voted to ask the state legislature to clarify the rules.
You go on or stop it? What that mean?
It means to ask the state legislature to tell us what the correct way is to abolish a coterminous township.
Cut off?
That's what, yeah.
Hope y'all don't abolish it. Give me some money. I'm broke. I need help.
It would, abolishing the township would not impact general assistance. General assistance would continue. Yes.
Who would it be continued through? The state of Illinois? I mean,
That's what,
how we pay?
We're asking it to be the city of Evanston. That's what we're asking the legislature for.
So y'all just want to kill the township possibly? Y'all just want to convert, kill the township and make it the city of Evanston?
Right.
That's
So-
right.
So we can save money.
Okay, so then what about, okay, if you kill the township, then what about the access to care and the job program that they have up there at the township at 1910 Main? I mean, will that still be going? I mean, because I'm not getting full understanding of what you're talking about.
we are looking at providing the same services that are currently provided, but we're trying to cut costs.
Okay, who would be handling that? Would we still have the same people, the same help? Would we still have the same counseling that we need? There are certain people that need counseling, and these people at the township are the only people that we can,
You know,
we
we
can
can
go
relate to
to
them
and
and
talk.
we can really, you know, understand, they can understand where you come from, you know. They can, you know, been through that walk of life that we've been through every time. So that's what we just trying to understand, you know, because certain people's not fortunate as some of you all men, some of you all women. You know, we're not as fortunate as you, and not some of you are privileged, some of you are not. And we're trying to, you know, see what's going on because that helps me. You know, that helps me, you know, helps me with my rent. It helps me not to be homeless. See? And that's a feeling that I'm sure that none of you women or men would like to feel. So I'm just trying to get a clear understanding, Mayor Tisdale, and do with all due respect to all the men and all the women. You know, no trying to blurt out, you know, none of that nonsense. I'm just, you know, want to get a clear understanding. That's all.
I cannot tell you that exactly the same people would be employed, but I can tell you that anybody who's been employed and been doing a good job, as you say they have, would obviously be someone we would certainly consider continuing to employ. Alderman Wilson, or Trustee Wilson.
And the language that the city attorney prepared, what we're asking the state to do is to pass a different law. And I'll read it to you. It says, on the effective date of discontinuance and abolishment, all the rights, powers, duties, assets, property, liabilities, obligations, and responsibilities of the township shall, by operation of law, be assumed by the city of Evanston. So the city would take over all that stuff, the property and responsibilities and obligations of the township. That's what we're asking for. The state could say no, but that's what we're asking them to do.
Would it be like something that be on the ballot for next spring or November?
There's going to be, right, and the first thing that we passed tonight was a referendum for the ballot, so people are going to get a chance to vote on it in March.
I don't really have a clear clarification of why this is brought forth. Is there a way, if we have a few minutes, where you can briefly tell us why you want to disillusion the township of Evanston? Because we need some clarity here. And right now, we're not getting it. So we want to know exactly what it is that you want to do and why. You said because to save money. Save money for who? City? Save money for
Taxpayers.
the residents of Evanston? Save money so it can go someplace else?
For the taxpayers.
Clarity. For tax purposes?
Taxpayers.
For taxpayers.
Point of order, Madam Mayor, point of order.
Yes, Alderman Rainey.
Madam Mayor, we run our meetings with a certain level of decorum, and I suggest that in order to be effective and efficient, that we need to do that now. If people wish to speak, they should raise their hands, come to the podium like any other meeting, give their name and their address, and speak if we're going to have public comment. Otherwise, shouting out from the audience, the residents at home cannot hear a word you're saying on TV when you're out there. Unless you're right at that microphone, nobody can hear. So nobody knows what you're asking, and nobody has any idea of why we're answering certain questions that nobody knows what the question was. Well, just wait. No, I'm not the mayor. The mayor needs to call on
The mayor is in
people
charge.
if that's the way it's going to go. So, Madam Mayor, could you make a ruling one way or another?
All right. Yes, you do have to speak into the microphone, as Alderman Rainey has requested, if you want to be part of the public record and on TV. So, Trustee Braithwaite, would you? Okay. All right. So, if you want to speak, please come to that microphone or that one. Trustee Holmes.
Well, I was just going to say, I understand the procedure in terms of having people on TV, but I didn't think it was disorderly. I thought people were raising their hands and you were recognizing them, and if people were more comfortable with doing that, these are unusual times, and this is an unusual situation. So,
It's a normal meeting. It's not unusual at all. We should handle it in a formal way like we always do.
Well, this is not a normal meeting.
Well, I think it is. I disagree with you completely. It's a regular meeting.
Hi,
Could you give your name and address, please?
my name is Marshall Morrison. I reside at 1404 Pittner Avenue, and I've been a resident of Evanston for now 50 years. My question was, I wanted some clarity on the dissolution of the township. I have not been present at the other meetings, so I just wanted, if you can, clarify what your reasons are for this to even come up in the board.
Trustee Burris, did you want to answer that?
No, I don't want to answer.
Oh, okay, sorry.
No, I want a point of order as well, which is this is very different than normally public comment. You come up and you talk, and then you sit down and we don't respond. This is a very different situation. So I would like some, clarification on when a question is asked, who is the appropriate person to make the response? Is it our corporation counsel? Is it our city manager? It probably shouldn't be one of the trustees because each of us has a different viewpoint. There's not a collective answer here. So
You're right.
I'm just thinking that we should make a decision on who the respondent to the questions should be to make this less chaotic.
Well, the respondent to what is going to happen to general assistance were all at the last meeting and are not at this one, so I'm sorry, but they all came to the previous meeting on November 29th. City manager, do you want to answer why we're
Thank you.
why we're discussing abolishing the township?
Madam Chair, members of the Township Board. As I think was mentioned at the last meeting, probably been 40 years of on and off discussion by the Township Board regarding potential dissolution. I think one of the driving factors has been the issue of coterminousness, that this township is one of a very few in the state of Illinois where the boundaries of the township are equal to the boundary of the city. And so as a coterminous township, there is, I think, the perception of duplication of governance. There's a perception of duplication of other issues. And I think the discussion that has been held on and off again for at least 40 years in Evanston has been, does this make sense? This council has talked about it in a little bit more concise and limited period of time over, let's say, the last 6 months or so, and really looked at this, what it would be required if the township was dissolved. And one of the things that would have to continue is general assistance. So the general assistance funds that are provided by the township would continue to be collected from the taxpayers and would continue to be provided. Staff has done an analysis that indicates that the overhead associated with Evanston Township is something that could be eliminated. That overhead is anywhere between $300,000 and $500,000 a year, and then the City Council could choose to change the tax levy to continue to levy that amount and put that money into general assistance, or to decrease the tax levy so that there be less taxes paid by the residents of Evanston. Again, staff has done some work to show how we believe general assistance could be provided by the city, that we could continue, and we obviously think we could expand the amount of money as well as the number of people helped by having it done by the city versus the township. So that, I've taken 40 years of discussions on this and combined them into a minute and a half response.
Okay, so I still don't, I still, sorry, but I really still don't understand. You're planning on keeping general assistance.
The state of Illinois requires that.
Okay, so that means you're going to get rid of the counselors.
No.
Is that my understanding?
No,
Is that,
because general assistance, we've looked at how other townships provide general assistance, and that ability to have people working with individuals is a critical part of the services that is done all over the state of Illinois.
so what services are you planning on abolishing? What services exactly? If you're not getting rid of general assistance, what is it that you're going to get rid of? The counselors that come in and talk to us that are on general assistance?
There are two parts of what Evanston Township currently provides. There is a general assistance function. Much of that would remain the same without the overhead that is currently a part of the delivery through Evanston Township. There is also a component of the township assessor, and this group would have to decide how much additional staff would be required to provide the township assessor function. So much of the cost savings would also be incurred through the elimination of township assessor services. So the savings from general assistance, we think, would be largely overhead. We also think there's an opportunity to expand general assistance, and so it would be up to the City Council, should dissolution occur, to determine how much money every year is spent on general assistance. There's never been a discussion that less money would be spent on general assistance. It was just an opportunity to reduce the overhead that's currently cost to deliver that service. So that's, again, it's been many years of discussion, and this council has decided through the two resolutions that were adopted tonight. One would ask the residents of Evanston Township if they wish this board to continue looking at dissolution, because as has been said, it is not a clear path as to how that happens. The second resolution is directing staff to work in Springfield to craft a more concise way in Illinois law to allow for the dissolution of the township. But general assistance, in the analysis done by our Corporation Council, general assistance is a right that is enjoyed by every resident of the state of Illinois. And so that is not something that goes away. That money will continue to be collected. The services would be provided. And again, we hope in a way that may be more comprehensive, that deals with some housing money that the city receives to help people as well as we're helping them, and hopefully even better in the future.
Thank you.
Okay, better understanding. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Trustee Grover?
Thank you, Madam Moderator. First, my apologies for my late arrival tonight. I had an important event at the high school I couldn't miss, so I'm sorry. Just as with our going to referendum on the question of municipal aggregation, which has some mandatory community meetings to discuss and educate, voters who would be voting in the referendum on municipal aggregation. I can't imagine us either proceeding on the question of the township in a referendum without also having some meetings to discuss what this might mean, how we would be providing and replacing the general assistance services, the work counseling, and the taxpayer advocacy, all the services provided right now in our township offices. So I imagine and I expect that there will be a number of community meetings so that we can flesh this out and that we would get the follow-up presentation from our community development folks as well about how we'll administer general assistance from the city.
Thank you. Trustee Braithwaite?
No, I just wanted to quickly agree thank you, with Alderman Holmes. I think this, first let me say thank you all to the residents who took the time this evening to come out for us to hear exactly how you feel. This is that uncomfortable feeling that I was speaking about the last time we discussed this. And I think it's important that we all hear directly from the people that are affected, the other side. So I don't know where we are in terms of procedure, and I'm going to be very mindful of the time, but this is my first time actually having this conversation in public. You are now, for the other aldermen, getting a taste of what I feel and what I hear when I speak to residents that are in my ward. So, Madam Mayor, out of respect to those that are here, I think it's important that we at least listen to the people, and I think we do need to make a special circumstance if there's somebody that would like to say something and wouldn't, and for whatever reason they don't feel comfortable saying it on the mic. But I would suggest that we look at how many people are here that want to speak to the issue, and I would also suggest that we come up with some just type of procedure for the next 45 minutes or 30 minutes just to give everyone a chance to speak who took the time out of their evening to be here.
I think everyone is speaking who wants to. Trustee Rainey, would you please go ahead?
My name is Montez Canada. I live at 1610 Darrow. I've been a resident of Evanston for 42 years. Now, y'all say that y'all going to expand the services, but as I've seen over the years watching on TV with the city of Chicago and the government, what y'all say y'all going to do, you don't do. You switch it up, and then, oh, well, we got to do this, and then we got to do that, then you got to do this and do that. And I just feel that, you know, if you're going to do something, please look into it thoroughly before you make a decision on something that can affect some people that, you know, that really, really may need the township. Because there's other things that the township does besides general assistance. You know, it's just not just general assistance. You go to Job Club and all that other stuff. You know, they do a lot of other stuff, too. You know, like community networking and stuff like that. So I'm just saying, if you're going to make a decision, please look it over before you make a vote, take a vote or whatever, you know, because, you know, that could hurt someone in the long run, you know. And, you know, I'm sure that you don't want to hurt nobody, you know, because I don't want to hurt nobody, you know, and, you know, so, you know, just please, ladies, gentlemen, you know, take time to go over the fine print, as my mother and father always taught me. You know, don't just, oh, this is what we're going to do, blah, 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 and pass it, you know. So that's all I got to say. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Martha Young. I live at 1710 Monroe Street in Evanston. I've been here in Evanston for 55 years of my life. And I want to talk more towards the assessor's office and what they do, because I have an elderly mother. I'm also on general assistance, but I have an elderly mother that has dementia. So she can't come out and take care of her business. And even if she did, she's 75 years old, and she can't get on the bus or the train to go downtown or to go to Skokie Courthouse. They don't send out the freeze anymore, which I just found out why I was going to the assessor's office. But so what are these people going to do? I was there 2 days ago. And 2 days ago, there were at least 10 elderly people to come in and out of that office to get the same thing that I was there for. So from my understanding, the assessor's office is going to go too. So what are those people going to do? Are they going to go to the senior center or Levy Center? Where are they going to go? What's going to happen to the assessor's office?
City Manager, would you like to answer that?
Madam Chair, members of the Township Board, again, the presentation you didn't hear the other evening. We've looked at what other township staff do. We looked at what the City of Chicago does. The City of Chicago has had, up until this budget, a taxpayer assistance center. As many of you know, maybe people in the audience don't know, is that in Cook County, the township assessors provide assistance to people to file appropriate papers with the Cook County assessor.
I know. I've been down there.
Absolutely.
I've been there.
And so we were modeling after a system that the City of Chicago has, because the City of Chicago operates a little bit differently. We would still propose that we would offer that taxpayer assistance here at the Civic Center as part of our collector's office. Unfortunately, the City of Chicago is closing their taxpayer assistance center. We discovered that it was actually the current governor who set up the taxpayer assistance center when he worked for Harold Washington. But the City of Chicago is stopping that proposal. But we like the idea, and we would propose doing that there. And as well as making it available around the community at different times of the year. So I think absolutely for seniors, we would make that available at the senior center, but we would have some place here at City Hall where people could get information on a year-round basis.
Okay, my second question is, I'm going to be done in a minute, but I've been on general assistance for a while now, and general assistance has helped me out through many, many of my problems that I've had with many things. It takes special people to help special people. And from my understanding, the city of Evanston, they firing people. So how is it that now all of a sudden you're going to have money to pay different people or people to address some of the issues that we have, the clients? I mean, am I right about the firing?
Well, one of the unique parts of this, ma'am, is that it comes with a assessment on your property tax bill. So
I pay the taxes. I know
right,
how much.
Absolutely. So that property tax assessment would continue. What I think you're hearing from members of the Township Board is there may be opportunities for that amount on your tax bill to go down, but that would be revenue that would come to the city of Evanston. So the money that is paying the salaries of those folks that are helping with general assistance, that money would come to the city of Evanston. So it's not.
So the city of Evanston would hire new people to do the job that they do now,
or the people that are there potentially.
Oh, okay.
Or the people who are there.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Lonnie Wilson, and I'm not shy talking in front of mics. And I've been on general assistance several times in my life. They've also helped pay a gas bill here or there. What the crux of this issue really is that the city feels it can manage these dollars better than the people at Township. Really, that's the bottom line here. And I would say this, the Township has a history of helping people that is far exceeds, with all due respect, the people sitting at this table. I trust them to continue to take real care and understanding on the people that they're servicing. I'm not sure that the city could take that on and do it with such a real feeling inside, because all businesses are really ran by people in the end. The city is overwhelmed in many ways. You're cutting budget, and as far as I'm concerned, you're not that efficient either. So as we start to ask, questions on efficiency, most of the people that sit at this table are the trustees that kind of oversee what happens there. I think we should talk about more of a partnership of the trustees making sure that whatever's not running efficiently, that you feel is not running efficiently, is cleaned up. But the idea of handing it to you guys and all of a sudden it becomes wonderfully efficient kind of scares me. Now, and as usual, as we start to put these budgets and things together, always to me, I know I'm a little paranoid and I think they're always over the fence, but it always seems to me that we always clean up these budgets on the back of people who can afford it the least. And I'm just going to say that, I've been trying to find a way to do it in a less Lonnie way, but we've really got to start thinking about this, because as the economy goes in the tank, the guy who has $10 hurts a lot more than the guy who has 10,000. And so when you start to talk about economic problems and the city's problems and money's problems, can you imagine the people's problems that sit on Wesley and sit on Simpson? I mean, you don't see them every day, but trust me, they're hurting. And you're not going to build gated communities or whatever you're thinking about to keep, you're going to have, sooner or later, we're going to have to deal with them in a real way. And that's just my statement. Thank you.
Thank you.
Janad Risky. I think the last speaker said what I was about to say, but I'm going to say some more. The issue is this council is they are the trustees. Of course, they have signs that say aldermen, but they're supposed to really manage the township. And really, it's your role to manage the township. You can set the township budget. So Wally's talking about cutting it from 1.3 to 900,000. Well, why don't you just manage it that way? Tell the township they have 900,000. You don't want to do that for some reason. So I don't understand. You already have the ability to run the township. So something's not right here. And what's the point of this? You know, from my perspective, and I think the other gentleman's quite right, let's look at the budget and just make a statement. During the budget hearing, we had this Engage Evanston. The city thought it could cut $2 to $3 million from the rec program. We got it down to $300,000, and then it was cut down to $150,000. So if we have a number here of $300,000 or $400,000 we're going to cut, does anyone really believe that? I don't believe it. I think that's the problem here. The numbers here are never accurate, and I can go through, of course, I could spend hours on all the mistakes, but if this city, I don't see that you're going to run this any more efficiently at all. So why aren't you just set the budget and be done with it, and tell them this is the way you want it to run, and this is what you want. And if they don't want to do that, then I guess something else will happen. Then all these people can be upset about it, and they can complain to the people who run the township. But I don't understand why you aren't just setting the budget. And the other thing is, I don't trust the city either, because I believe money from the township has been, the aldermen have used it for city purposes in a way, even though you as a trustees you can do that. But you're setting programs and things that were at the city that you cut, and then you put them over to the township, I believe. So that, to me, is not really a proper use of our funds. That's all really I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm actually speaking for one of our taxpayers who asked me to speak for him tonight. His name is Dario Fernandez Murillo. He's not able to come tonight because he's teaching at Northwestern, and he lives at 720 Hartree. He says, I've been a resident of Evanston for over 20 years, and I teach at Northwestern University. I want to ask the city of Evanston not to sever its ties to the township for the following reasons. One, the most important reason is that severing the ties would dissolve the services provided by the township, most important of all, the assessor's office services in Evanston. This assessor's office serves all people in Evanston with their property tax issues, from general problems with their assessment to means of appealing the assessments to petition to have property taxes take into account low income and other issues. This constitutes an irreplaceable service to people of all ages who need help with their property in general and property taxes in particular. Many of these people are older, and they need a service that can directly solve home ownership problems that for them are becoming hard to handle. Please consider how this assessor's office helps average people, not just the wealthy. As we all know, it's hard enough, indeed very hard, to continue living and having a business in Evanston unless one is very well off because of the relentless rise in property taxes in this city for both citizens and businesses. Do not make this worse by making it much harder for Evanstonians to cope with their property taxes.
Thank you.
Yeah, my name is Joshua Worth. I live at 1809 Brummer Street in Evanston. Also, I am a realtor with Coldwell Banker also. And I have clients who come in and tell me about the assessor's office where they go in and they get the taxes decreased. At the same time, there's one in particular, she was able to get over $1,600 back, for the overpaid taxes. And then at the same time, I was looking at my tax bill, and it really does not cost that much. What's it, less than $5 or, on each individual person for the assessor's office? I don't think you should do away with it. That's just my own personal opinion.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Mary Baker. I live at 139 Ridge Avenue in Evanston. I've been a resident of Evanston for 23 years. Did you say that the money for the Township of Evanston comes from the state of Illinois?
No. Comes from the taxpayers of Evanston Township.
What?
It comes from the property taxpayers of Evanston Township.
Okay, does anyone know where the Catholic, okay, wait, let me preface it with this. I had to file for disability, and I had absolutely no money, not even money for food, not even $1. Long story short, now fast forwarding, I was looking for help in all the different places that I was told about in Evanston, and I found no help. I originally went to the Township of Evanston for emergency assistance, and you have to fill out a lot of papers, turn in a lot of documentation, which is okay. But believe me, they know every little thing about, everything. And then it got to where I was going to be evicted from my home that I own because I was living with no electricity for X number of months. And then Alder Lady Rainey, from a neighbor calling and speaking with her, asking if she could help me, took me to the Township of Evanston and explained that I could file for general assistance. I did file for general assistance, and again, I filled out a lot of papers. I had to give a lot of documentation of everything, which is okay because they were giving me help. So then it was approved, and I've been getting help for the last couple of months. I still don't have money for food. But the little bit that the Township of Evanston helps me with is very much appreciated, and I would not be in my home, and I would actually be homeless if it wasn't for the Township of Evanston General Assistance. I've only been on it for a few months, and I still need help from other organizations for to pay my electric bill. But still, I have not found the help from Connections for the Homeless that is supposed to help with your utilities, or from the Salvation Army. Well, now I'm going back to the Salvation Army. I've left 5 messages so far, but I think maybe 7, but I know for sure 5. But no one has called me back yet. And when I leave a message, I give them a couple of days to call me, back, because I'm sure they're busy. So other people have said I have to call every day, like 2, 3, 4, 5 times a day. But to me, that's wasting their time. So I don't. But when you say that by closing down the Township of Evanston and the present people who do all all that needs to be done every month, and you're going to put it on the employees of the city of Evanston, that doesn't make really good common sense to me. So maybe you could explain it so it would make sense. And this is why it doesn't make good common sense. The city of Evanston employees already have enough work, and by giving this to them, they're not going to have the time to do the work that is needed. And it's just going to fall through the cracks. I've heard of other organizations in Chicago and because I've done volunteer work for many, many years. I still do volunteer work where I don't have to use my shoulder, which is, so forth. And I've heard for many years how everything, they go for help and they're told that, we're going to help you, but then it all falls through the cracks. And then when I go with the person there to, the place, I get the same answer. I've gotten the same answer throughout the last 34 years that I have been in the Chicagoland area, and I've done volunteer work for all those years. But the answer is always the same. We don't have enough time to do all the work that's needed. We don't have enough people to do the work that needs to be done.
Maybe you could let the city manager try to answer that, because as you pointed out, we also have a time problem here. We have a Human Services Committee meeting that should have started 15 minutes ago. So let's let the city manager try to answer so that if some other people want to ask questions, they could as well.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the Township Board. Again, with the proposal that is being considered and the language is included in the a resolution that we would be taking to Springfield, the City of Evanston would assume the general assistance responsibilities. With that would come the assumption of the property tax levy that is currently assessed. So that money, we would not be looking at other city resources to perform the services the township is. We would take money that is currently allocated by the taxpayers of Evanston Township to continue to provide those services. So that money currently pays for staff, and so it would continue to pay for staff to provide general assistance. The difference, we believe, is that the overhead, the cost of the building and the administrative services that support general assistance, we could provide that for less money than the township does. So ultimately, over time, we hope that the taxpayers of Evanston would pay less for that service, but the service would continue at the level that's currently.
Okay, so why not move the people that are now doing a good job at the Township of Evanston here to this building and give them an office here, and then you won't have that overhead? Wouldn't that make more sense?
I think that it's been the council's determination to ask for more information from the residents of Evanston. So one of the resolutions tonight is to do a referendum on March 20th to ask the question, should we continue to pursue the dissolution? So if the voters say yes, we'll continue to do that. If the voters say no, then I think we will look for other options. But I think the council, serving as the township board, has been sufficiently informed to make the decision to move forward that it makes more sense to include it with the services that are provided by the City of Evanston.
Are there going to be minutes on this meeting?
Trustee Rainey, did you?
Can I ask you a question? You indicated you had some serious ComEd problems. Can we find out from you what was the source of solving that problem? Where was that, neighbors at work, or was that the township?
The CEDA office, LIHEAP, helped me to get my electricity back on. And the Township of Evanston, now that I have general assistance, I can go back to the Salvation Army for them to help with my electric and gas.
I just wanted to know how that division of assistance.
Okay, and Connections for the Homeless said, any other place in the city of Evanston, you have to have a job in order for them, or a source of income, in order for them to help you with your electric bill. I never knew that because I always paid mine before, but now I'm forced in a position to where, I need help.
Could I just add one thing? One of the things that when everybody asks what we're doing, and the city manager has attempted to explain, really the whole point is not to eliminate services. I'm not saying that all services would continue to be provided. The purpose of our interest in this is to eliminate another form of government. There are so many forms of government in the state of Illinois. So eliminating a form of government does not necessarily follow that we will eliminate all the services that government provided. In fact, the personal and housing expenses that the township provides must by law continue. And so whether we use township employees or city employees or hire new employees, that's subject to question. We don't even know until we have the results of this referendum in what we're going to do. Maybe the state of Illinois will tell us that the rules are etched in stone. There's absolutely no way we can change the rules, and you know, nothing will happen. We don't know. This is just the first step. And like somebody said earlier, Peter Braithwaite, et cetera, there's going to be lots and lots of meetings about this. So every answer, and some of the answers that the city manager has given tonight, I disagree with. So we haven't really formed the program yet, because we don't know what the program's going to be. So I think the most important thing is to ask questions now, and as things go along with the participation of the community and the aldermen and the township, we'll come up with some of these answers. But right now, I think it's fair to say that we know one thing: we must continue to provide for housing and personal assistance that general assistance provides for. Other than that, you know, we still have a township. We tax our residents for the township general assistance and town fund. And as of now, things are going along just like that. And eventually, hopefully, we'll be able to put this on the ballot and ask people, what do you think? That's all the ballot is going to say. What do you think about this? Should we pursue this? That's it. So why don't we move along now? We have other people who would like to speak.
Okay. Thank you for your honesty,
And
and
we'll
that
get-
you haven't figured out yet of
We
who's
haven't.
going to do
I
what
don't
and
think we have.
all of that. And I think that's all of our concern, because the people that's doing it now know how to do it. So maybe at least, you know, Ms. Sean Paul could continue on, because she would help people how to do it.
Okay, let's try to take at
Thank
least
you.
3 more speakers, and then I'd remind you that this is the first step in a long process. All we're doing tonight is saying that we're going to ask the voters a question. So there will be much discussion before the election, at which point the voters will get to speak. Go ahead.
My name is Albert Gibbs. I'm a lifelong Evanston resident. I'm slightly unprepared because the last meeting I had been taking notes, and I've been paying far more attention to what is being said from all parties. And unfortunately, I can't find these notes tonight. But I'm going to press on because there are some things that I have questions about, and maybe before I came, there may have been some inquiries about them, I don't know. But for me, it seems like we should leave this alone. We should leave this alone. This meaning, if it's not broke, why fix it? There appears to be questions about the budget, where township is concerned, where general assistance is concerned. Duplication of services seems to be another thing that I've heard being said, and concern is about the place itself, whether it's sufficient or not, or too much space, or maybe you're paying too much rent, so on and so forth. And I can't help but feeling, since I've been listening, and I'm a person that communicates, but I've been listening, and I haven't been hearing anything on behalf of this council here that to me could validate dissolving township. I don't see it. I recall over the past, there were services that the city itself provided, and then you downsized. You laid people off, or you closed or consolidated or whatever else and stuff. And how then can now you give us to think that no one I've seen on township and with the city has any experience with running township? You have to train people, which is more money. This referendum that you're speaking of, how much does that cost, and who pays for the cost of the referendum? itself. I think prior to this, I could be wrong, excuse me if I am, but I think there were some of the aldermen there that spoke to the point of if there are problems with township, if the city has problems with township, seems you've been having these problems for years. Why haven't you been able to sit down before now and deal with them? It seems like all the competency that we have here and those that are running, I think I read somewhere where township may even be operating at a surplus because the management of that situation has favored them. They've done a quite good job, a very remarkable job under limited resources and so on and so forth. So as I'm listening to a lot of what's going on, and I'm sure all the cards aren't laid out on the table yet, I'm wondering, is there something personal going on here? Something personal against the person that's supervising township? I'm wondering what is the thing here? What is the deal here? Because if your concern is to maintain the services that are now, or you feel you have a duty to maintain these services, then maintain what's already in place and that's working. If you think maybe you can get the rent cheaper somewhere else, then I don't think you need to dissolve township.
I do need you to wrap up if anyone else wants to speak because we're running out of time.
Wow. That's not fair.
Good evening. My name is Madeline Ducree. I'll be very brief. I want to get to the point. One of the aldermen mentioned fear. I'm very fearful. I'll tell you why. I think it was last year. We had a budget problem here. And we were making cuts. We had to get rid of libraries, branches of libraries, okay? I need to point some fingers, but I'm not going to do that tonight. I'm going to be very respectful of our council members, but you know who you are. You promised us that we would not pay any more taxes for the libraries. Now I'm hearing that we're going to have to pay some taxes some kind of way for the libraries. There were 2 or 3 aldermen on this council who was going straight, and then they made a left turn. And they kept on making a left turn. Don't forget, we do watch television, okay? We may not be able to get here every night, but we do look at you guys on TV. And you are politicians, okay? You may not consider yourself politicians, but we do. You're local politicians. They have politicians in Washington, D.C., and they have them right here tonight. I expect you to make your promises. And while we're on the subject, I was at a 5th Ward meeting, Alderman Dolores Holmes, our 5th Ward meeting, and the manager was there. I asked him, will our taxes go up? I heard a no. But now our taxes are going up again. I want you to tell me tonight, are we being fair in this town? Do we really have a deficit, or are we playing games? Thank you.
Thank you.
I just have 2 sentences. All the money that the Township of Evanston pays for...
I agree with you, Mary. We're trying to be fair to everybody.
Yeah.
So
I just want to say that the money that the Township of Evanston pays me for dental assistance,
Mary,
is paid back.
Could you do me a favor, please?
Yes.
We're going to have lots of meetings on this subject, so save your comments for the next meeting. There'll be plenty of meetings before you get a chance to vote on this.
Okay. So the Township of Evanston gets their money back from me.
Thank you all for coming. Trustee Burris?
I was just wondering, the gentleman that spoke, I forgot his name already, I apologize. He had several questions that he wanted to asked, and I was wondering, Mr. Gibbs? He has several questions. I was wondering if they could get responses to those. No, just next meeting.
Okay. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?